So this video will be put with the hard copies. That's the pictures, the recordings of people saying messed up stuff. That's the videos. That's all the hard copy stuff. Will all be put on the hard copy and sent out of state to make sure that I no longer have any possession of it. And that way, if something does happen to me, there's a whole CD out there. There's some also CD little memory cards that can be tracked down, and there's a lot of life-saving information that could help a lot of children on that. There really is. There's also a lot on there about what's happening, like for instance, about how they're making disabled people work with COVID while they are sick. Meanwhile, wealthy individuals get to stay home on welfare. I'm not kidding. There was a lot of people I saw that were disabled, very, very ill, that were forced to work with COVID or with the flu symptoms that the doctors would not give paperwork to, like me and others. Meanwhile, there was other people getting paperwork that clearly stated flu symptoms do not work. And the Department of Health and Human Services in the emergency rooms were also seeming to be part of this. So there's documentation of this, there's proof of this. I'm one person that is a witness. I had to work. I made $16,000 to $17,000. Not that year. Actually, that year I made more because I wasn't allowed to stay home sick with the flu. I was told by the emergency room my COVID test was negative, but that doesn't mean I don't have COVID, and I definitely have all the symptoms of COVID. On top of that, my primary care said the decision was up to me, but she wasn't going to give me paperwork exempting me from work. So I ended up having to go right back to work with all the flu symptoms. On top of that, I have pre-existing conditions I've been asking to be looked at for a long time since I moved to New Hampshire, and they've refused to do so. On top of that, I'm a disabled individual who was labeled disabled as a child and had to go to disabled schools, had to go to disabled classes, I had to go to a special ed school, and I was every single job and every single form I've ever had to fill out where it asked me if I'm disabled, I've always had to mark yes. There's no way I can mark no because I'm always been disabled. So, they've also made a disabled guy work with COVID while asking for help, who's already gone to the Department of Health and Human Services, already applied for everything, already asked for help for years now. And here's the video or the recording that went out on the CDs and that will be held by other states. This message is for you, Claudette, seeing as you're my emergency contact. Wait, no, not that one. Not that one. So the funniest thing just happened. I just recorded a statement that I thought out that was really good.
Oh, I hate Chrome.
That explains some of the weird things going on. And all of a sudden, my phone put a question mark on the message and it went out when I tried to send it. That's never happened before with any other message, and it's working fine with any other recording. That's very weird. But I'm going to redo this on the hard copy, put it on the CD and send it out on a hard copy that's not hooked up to the Wi-Fi. And this is the exact message I was making when the phone went out very suspiciously. I don't care about the phone going out, though. It could just be a virus, the battery, who knows. Never seen that happen before with any other message. But here is the message. So, I wonder sometimes about the state of New Hampshire and the city I live in of Rochester and Somersworth. And I'll explain to you why. I've been disabled my whole life. I went to a school for the disabled. I went to the MSEC, the MSEC, sorry, MSEC, for special needs kids. I've been disabled my whole life. It's nothing new. When I apply for jobs in New Hampshire, I have to put disabled right on the paperwork. It's illegal for not to. Somebody collected Social Security, I have to mark it disabled. So when I went to get an ID in New Hampshire, when I started applying for all the paperwork in New Hampshire when I started getting, moving from my state to New Hampshire, I had to mark that spot disabled. Now, I am truly, utterly disabled. People on Social Security who have been on it for years look at me and go, "You need to be on Social Security. Oh my God, how can you not be on Social Security? You can barely walk. How can you not be on? Well, I get better. I do a little better during summer. I don't care if you get better during summer. You need to be on Social Security. Jesus, you're crawling sometimes. What the fuck? How hurt are you? Jesus. Oh, now your testicles are filled with blood. Jesus. Okay, you need help, kid. You need Social Security and you need a doctor. Yep, I know, and I'm trying. But anyways, while I get hundreds of people telling me that, I work. I went to the Department of Health and Human Services, and they seem to purposely mess up paperwork. It's really weird. So first, they filed the paperwork at the wrong time, and I was told that I would have to file in 3 months because of the worker who was helping me filed literally at the wrong time, and she knows better. That's weird, but whatever. Then 3 months later, we filed again. The phone call was messed up, but I fixed it for them. And then on top of that, she dropped all phone calls. They said she went on vacation. She disappeared. She dropped the file. There's a bunch of excuses. And now they left me in the dark with no phone calls, no callbacks, no answers, no information, and they've kept all my documents. They've kept my Social Security paperwork. They've kept all the paperwork I handed them, and they've disappeared with it. That seems suspicious. And when I go down trying to ask for this stuff back, ask where they left off, well, what the hell were you guys doing in my name? You guys said you were helping me with paperwork in my name because I'm disabled. But now you guys have just run off and told me not a damn thing of where you guys left off. I have not received any of my paperwork. I have no idea what's going on. That seems very suspicious. On top of that, they're having me work, and I had a police officer have to drag me across the floor after a seizure because nobody had any documentation of what was going on. I went unconscious, shook on the ground. Then I tried to crawl to the back door for an ambulance, but I shook and ended up seizing again. The officer who arrived knew nothing about it because I couldn't really talk. Dragged me. I had a second seizure. So it's very common that they know that this happens every day of my life, that I shake, my body spasms. I say seizure because that's what the doctors have called it on 2 different occasions. But the true term is I go brain dead and my body flops like a fish. I wake up all bloody, fractures and cut up, and my whole muscles all spasm, and when I hurt for about 30 days afterwards. And if I end up on cement or any hard surfaces, my head ends up with so many concussions that I can't talk, walk, do certain things because my brain is swollen. And this has happened to me several times. And the state of New Hampshire, the town of Rochester, and the town of Somersworth is all aware of this. But yet, during COVID, they had me work with the flu. I caught the flu while I was the only essential service worker at the gas station. I was working at Noria, and I'm disabled too. They told me I had to work while disabled. They said I had no other choice. Everybody told me I had to work while disabled to pay my rent. So I did, and I fell on the side of the road. A car ran over my hair. I kept on falling to try to make home because there was no buses, no transportation, but I bucked through. I didn't get any welfare because they wouldn't give me any. They wouldn't help me out with no money, nothing, even though I was disabled. I tried to apply, but they just kept on playing a lot of games, telling me that I'm not qualified, things like that. So at this point, I just decided to try my best. So I went to work, but then I caught the flu. I got all the flu symptoms, so I went down to the emergency room and the doctors. The emergency room said, yeah, it seems like flu-like symptoms, but your COVID test is negative, but you can still have some type of flu. So then I went to the primary care, and she said it was up to me and wouldn't give me any documentation of my flu symptoms. So my work, they needed documentation for me to be out of work, so I worked with the flu. It was against my will. I really didn't want to work with the flu. I tried everything I could to make sure that I wasn't forced to work while having the flu. But they did. The state of New Hampshire and the town of Rochester and the town of Somersworth absolutely wanted a disabled man to work while having a pre-existing condition he's reporting. By the way, I've reported this from day one to them. They did not once help me with this pre-existing condition or my past disability. None of it. And so I worked with the flu. Then on top of that, then I get injured severely at another gas station job, and I don't get any help with that. They just give me a little bit of food stamps, some state insurance that seems to be messing around with me too. The state insurance is doing very weird stuff. So are the doctors. It almost seems like the state, the Department of Health and Human Services, has told the doctors not to help me or something. I'm not quite sure. They're not ready. I'm going to go into that